Welcome to my two-part 3D flower series where I teach you how to make flowers and decorate them perfectly for all of your spring and summer sets. I like to use the MacGuard 4-in-1 Glux gel for my flowers, but you can use whatever you'd like. So I just grab a little bit, put it on top of the container, and then roll out my little petals. I like to use this flat silicone tool to flatten out the petal and then use the sharper side to make a point at the top and the bottom, and then use the flatter side to pull out the edges to make that kind of petal shape. And I always flash cure in between each petal so that they don't get messed up when you're working on like the next one. So here I am just showing how I do all of these, going in, flattening it out, then pulling up on the top and the bottom, and then on the sides. You want to make sure that you leave enough space to pull each petal into the middle. So placing them a little bit further apart than you might think you need them to be, just so you have enough space in the middle to then, add rhinestones or pearls or whatever you want in the middle. Another good thing about flash curing between each petal is that if you mess one up, you can wipe it off, pull it off, and then even use acetone on the nail to then make sure there's no residue left and your other petals won't be messed up, so you won't have to completely start over. Moving on, when I use my white 3D gel, I normally mix clear into the gel because for a couple reasons. First, the white is always harder to deal with in my opinion, but also I like to have it a little bit more see-through than just the white itself. So adding in that clear helps that. But here I'm just showing you how I do another flower which has a ruffled edge look to it. So I go in, I use the same silicone tool, place the petal, pat it down, but I don't pull up on the top. I just pull in to meet them all in the center, and then use the edge of the tool to pull up on the sides. And it really doesn't have to be perfect. All of them are going to be different, but just adds more to the nail than just it being flat. It gives it more of a 3D look. And when you're patting down each petal, you can use the tool and drag it to each side to make the petal wider. Pull it over the edge of the nail a little bit so that you'll have more of the petal to pull up on the side to make the ruffle bigger. There's a lot of options and it always turns out really cute. So I'm just showing you how I do that here, and remember to flash cure in between each petal to keep the shape of each one. So that is the basics of how I make my 3D flowers, the gel I use, the tools I use, the techniques and whatnot. So I figured I'd split this video into two, so if you want to learn the 5 different ways that I like to decorate my flowers, then head over to part 2, but thank you so much for watching and I hope that this was helpful.